What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another edition of On the Road to Victory. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith, and it's been a few days. Enjoying this bye week, enjoying the time off. No behind enemy lines, anything like that. We'll definitely get back into that next week. But I have enjoyed these past few days. But tonight, I had to get into this. Told you this weekend we would definitely talk about some things. Get us through this bye week. But I hope you guys are all having yourselves a great week, ready for this weekend. Bet some money, go have some fun, do whatever the hell you do on that bye week. Enjoy yourself, not having a heart attack for once. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. But yes, it is a little after 9 here. We're going to get things going. We're going to talk about this trading block that, a lot of questions have been asked this past week, and I've tried my best to answer all of the things I possibly could. I've been working on this show the last couple of days, and holy hell, so many graphics, so many things to talk about, from player like bios to stats to everything. So we're going to get into these trade candidates. We're going to talk a little bit about the Eagles, get to know some of the important details, the Eagles cap space, the draft picks they have for the future, the next few years. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about a few of the Eagles players that could be on the trading block. And then we will talk about the positions of interest for me. So you'll see over here, I have them listed. We got return specialists, we got running backs, we've got safeties, we've got edge rushers. So we're going to talk about those positions. Look, the Eagles could do whatever the hell they want at any position, but this is where I have my eye on. This is what we're going to talk about. And, maybe not so much, one of these positions, I want to talk about because, we'll get into it. But appreciate each and every one of you taking the time. If you have any damn questions, please feel free to let me know. I've missed you the past few days, and I appreciate each and every one of you taking the time. Yo, my man O'Dizzle Drizzle in the building. Let's go. Let's start this Friday night off right. The Macho Man, the Macho King is here. I'm ready. I hope you're ready because there is a lot of stuff to go through. So let's jump into it. Let's first and foremost go over these trade deadline details. You guys need to know we actually have a lot of ammo. I talked about this in the offseason. Nobody wanted to believe it, but look, I break down the cap, the draft picks, all that stuff, try to stay ahead of things for you. So that is what I've done today, and I don't think I've ever had so much information in one show. So let's go. Here are the details you need to know. So November 1st, about 11 days here at 4 p.m., we have to have whatever trades we want to try to make in by then. So look, I'm not sure if we make any moves, but if we're going to, you've got yourself less than 2 weeks to figure it out. So it's the bye week. We're going to talk about it. And we've got ourselves over $9.5 million in cap space. So that means we can play ball, ladies and gentlemen. And you see down at the bottom here, holy hell, do the Eagles have some future draft picks? Howie has been smoking these other GMs, and you love to see it. You see all these picks from New Orleans, Tennessee. Some of those have a little star next to them. They are obviously conditional picks, and one of those is the Reagor pick. The other one is that Tennessee pick. So they are all dependent on things. But regardless, you see that list down here, multiple first next year, multiple seconds that next year. There's so much going on there. I'm a little bit excited. I'm not going to lie to you. I really can't wait to see what the Eagles do here. Going to be a very exciting next few years. As I've been saying since last year, I really think the Eagles are building a dynasty here. And I know a lot of people didn't want to hear that, but if you see where we're at now, I think people are starting to be like, hey, you know what? Maybe he's right, because holy hell, we have pieces for the future too. Like, it's not like, okay, this is the team, like everybody's old, because people try to say that. And it's like, we got to realize we drafted and added people, to learn from these guys that'll probably be gone. And yes, there are free agents we've talked about. There's so much going on. So look, I get the people want to whine about stuff, but I don't. I'm very excited about this team, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Do I fear the Niners? Look, they're a very good team. We talked about them being contender, and, now adding Christian McCaffrey, that's quite the offense. Another prolific offense. Look at our offense. You've got stars across the board. They've got the same thing. They got Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and now Christian McCaffrey. So Elijah Mitchell comes back. You've got Jeff Wilson as a kick returner. They've got weapons all over. We know that defense is serious. So, hey, man, they're definitely a contender, but I still think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender. So for me, they got to beat us. I just said to somebody yesterday, I look forward to beating them in the playoffs. Like, that's definitely great for them. I'm not afraid of Jimmy G. I know a lot of people thought that we should go trade for Jimmy G and get rid of Jalen Hurts. I obviously was not one of those people. I think we could definitely take him. It would be a tough match, definitely. And now that they've added Christian McCaffrey, holy hell, a great trade for both sides, in my opinion. I think, Christian, we were going to talk about today because a lot of people, wanted to trade for him. But, the way his money is, it's not going to cost him that much this year. In the years, in the future, you could buy him out next year. I don't know why you do that, trading 4 picks. They traded a second, a third, a fourth, and then a fifth next year, or the next year, 2024. So, good for both sides. They got themselves some stuff for the future. Who knows? They obviously want him to stay healthy. Everybody wants to stay healthy in the NFL. So, I mean, yeah. But if he stays healthy, that team, they're the real deal, man. So, going to be intriguing to see. Now, could the Eagles be shipping off one of their players? Could we be in the mix? They're having more of a fire sale because their team sucks. But we've got some players that could definitely intrigue some people out there. So Andre Dillard being one of those names always brought up. And look, the dude, I love him. And he didn't pan out, to where he was supposed to be. Obviously a first-round pick 22 in 2019 out of Washington State. But he brings something to the table, and obviously going on IR sucked because we could have used him. But Jack Driscoll filled in well. We're still undefeated. But this dude obviously has some value. Now, I know how people feel. Look, I really think, it's great having a backup, but you saw that Jack Driscoll was able to come in and do his thing. I know it's not the same as Andre Dillard, but if you could get something in return before he just walks next year, whatever you want to do with him, and you could give him his 5th-year option, whatever you want to do. I think that the Eagles, it's a tough situation because I really like the young guys we have. You just got to hope you stay healthy, but we have no idea if that will actually happen. But if you were to get rid of them, you could save a couple $1 million. If you're looking to make a move elsewhere, you need to free up some space. I don't think you need to, though. So, you know what? I think, in my opinion, I would keep him, but I would totally be fine if you got something for him right now. So I'm not against it. Now, another name is Gardner Minshew. And it's great to have a great backup. We know we won a Super Bowl because having a great backup. So I think this is another name. If you wanted to try to get something for him before he walks next year, I think you go ahead and you do that. But I don't know how confident, you feel with Ian Book as your backup. So for me, it's worth that $2.54 million. Sure, you might be able to get something in return. You'll save a little bit of cap space. But at the end of the day, you still have to play football. So for me, it's too important a position. He costs so little, and the guy is starting caliber. So for me, I'm keeping Gardner Minshew. But, I mean, if somebody calls with the right, price, hey, it's going to be hard to turn down, then maybe it happens. So we shall see. But it's great to have a backup like Gardner Minshew. And then one more name for the Eagles I wanted to throw up here. You've got Boston Scott. Now, I love the dude, little pocket Hercules, 5'6", 203 pounds. But look, you could save space. You could get something in return. The same thing I just said for all of these other guys. But you've got Trey Sermon here now, and I'm not sure, he's going to pan out to be anything great. But with this offensive line, anybody could look all right. And I think, he brings something different to the table other than Miles and Kenny. And he's only getting 2, 3, maybe you'd get 5 carries a game if you needed. So as running back 3, maybe he's a candidate. Somebody comes calling. They need a back like Boston Scott. Maybe that's a name you see on the move. So just wanted to throw a few names from the Eagles at you before we get into this, dude. And it is wild here. We're going to get into it. I did a lot of work for you guys here, and just, we're going to get into everything, and I want to hear all that you guys have to say, every single opinion. So yes, we're going to get into all of it to get to the final piece. Yeah, man. Hoping Howie waits. Sorry, I hit the wrong one. Waits till after the game versus Steelers just in case of injury. Knock on wood. Well, unfortunately, we cannot wait that long. I believe the deadline would be up by then. So, well, actually, no. Or would it be? Because what day is that game? Because I guess today being 23rd, so that would be the 30th, right? Next Sunday would be that game. So I guess you could. And look, that's why I'm only doing this because it's the bye week. I'm not saying go do this right now. It's just something to do. But look, I think, you definitely will do that if an injury happens, something like that. So this is just to keep in mind. But these are things that we want to just go through. But yeah, I hear you, my man. Brian Burge. Yeah, man, we're going to get into the edge rushers then for sure. And yes, that is the return specialist there. What's up, my man Tim in the building? A little late to the party, but he made it. We're talking deals here. Get your deals here. So we're going to go through these bad boys, each position. Love to hear your thoughts about it. We're going to go through a lot here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What is going on? John, hope you are doing well. Appreciate you tuning in. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe TJ Watt will also be out. Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into the Steelers information. If you're new here, John, we go through behind enemy lines on Tuesdays. I'll talk about the entire roster. That'll be one of the things we talk about, all their injuries. We'll look at their depth chart, their stats, their rankings for the year. We'll get to know everything about the Steelers. Then we'll have the top 10 matchups. I'll have the injury report every day for you guys, so stay tuned for that. But you are correct, John. It looks like he will be out for the next couple weeks, and that is something I'm going to mention once we get into the edge rushers here. So a great point from John. Appreciate you throwing that out there, my man. Hope you're off to a great start with your weekend. But let's get this bad boy going. And I want to talk about the running backs first, because everybody feels, and not everybody, but a lot of people, Miles Sanders is a bust. He's the worst. Oh, he can't run. 4th in the league in rushing yards right now. So I don't understand it, but okay. Everybody wanted to trade for Christian McCaffrey. Look, talented guy. I get it. But then when the Niners trade for him, everybody's like, oh, stupid. It's like, but it's hard to keep up. So, look, there's a lot of names out there, a lot of things, Look, the Eagles like running the ball, though. So I'm not to say that. Here's what I'm going to say. Miles Sanders, I love him. I'm not getting rid of Miles Sanders. What I would want to do is add to that room. So we talk about maybe shipping off Boston Scott. Maybe you ship off Trey Sermon to the practice squad, too, or something like that. You go grab yourself a solidified number 2 running back. And there are a plethora of names that could be out there. But I went with my top 5 guys at running back that I thought the Eagles, could be either interested in or you guys want to talk about. Well, I guess I got 6 on here. I forgot I had added old Zach Moss in there. And look, I think that, he's somebody that's inactive for a reason. This is something like you take a late round pick swap for somebody like him. I'm not too intrigued by Zach Moss. Just threw him on there, but you've got guys like Melvin Gordon pissed off that, Latavius Murray's taking his snaps. Cam Akers being benched. He wants to be traded. Kareem Hunt, we've talked about him since the beginning of the season. Everybody is interested in that one. And then David Montgomery, Daryl Patterson there. They've got a lot of young running backs. So, yeah, that's a list of them, but I picked my top 3, and I want to get into it. So first up, let's talk about Kareem Hunt, 5'11", 216. The dude's only 27 years old. And look, when you look at this money for each one of these, I'll try to keep bringing it up, but that cap hit is not going to be the cap hit that we take on. But I was not going to try to sit there after creating over like 70 graphics here for the show. I'm not even exaggerating, but you have to take that money, the proration, all that stuff into consideration. He only has 1 year left. So, again, it's going to be way less than that. And you can always restructure. So try not to worry too much about the money, how we can always find a way. And if we are going to do things like that, I will break it down for you. But let's take a look at how Kareem Hunt has done in his 6-year career. This is his 6th year right now. He started 36 games, being there with Nick Chubb in front of him. That is quite the 1-2 punch. But look at that, man. He's got over 3,000 rushing yards, almost 4,000. And then, he's getting there with receiving almost 2,000. So this dude, he's a jack of all trades. And look, regardless of off the field, or a scumbag or not, whatever you feel, I think this guy is obviously very talented. And it would remind me of Jay Ajayi, adding him to this room, obviously much different than blunting him. But I think having 2 backs like that, ooh, boy. But I just don't know that the Browns are ready to just get rid of him because, look, man, they've got Deshaun Watson coming back. These guys, the scumbags of the year awards going out there. But I think, obviously this dude, very talented, just not so sure they're going to want to give him up. You see, this year he hasn't started a single game, but he has over 250 rushing yards, only 83 receiving yards, but he's got 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 in the air. So the dude brings it when he gets a chance. So A lot of people ask about him, and yes, I would be very interested, but let's be real here. I don't think they're getting rid of him. Up next, David Montgomery. There's a name, they've got Khalil Herbert there, and that dude is probably their future. This guy deals with some injuries here. Maybe if you could trade for him, restructure him a little bit. Again, don't worry about the money there. Still only 25 years old, though. And you think about him in this offense, a pass catching dude that can run people, or he can do it all, just like Kareem Hunt. Add him with Miles Sanders. Holy sh! It just really would depend on the asking price. He was a 3rd-round pick, so maybe, with him, having Khalil Herbert there, having a little bit more of a price tag, maybe you could convince him to give up, a 5th for him, something, a swap, maybe 3rd, 4th, whatever it is. I think this dude, he would be more than worth it. And we've got the room. And if you want to go for a Super Bowl and just make this team unstoppable, I would be perfectly fine with it. You see his stats here. This dude, he's got 3,000 rushing yards, over 1,000 receiving yards in those few years he's played. And man, he is talented. If he stays on the field, this guy can do it all. This year, even being out of game, he's already got 246 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, 113 receiving yards. So we know what this dude can do. Super talented, and I would be perfectly fine with the Eagles going ahead and trading for him. Now, again, I don't feel the running back room, it's necessary. This is the least of, my concerns here, but I understand this is something people want to talk about, so we'll definitely talk about it. Also, I'd like to say I do believe the Raiders should be a top 5 pick. Will not be a top 5 pick, so it'll help us manage it because they barely lost. So, well, yeah, we'll see, man. Those picks are going to be fun to watch for sure. If you're into conspiracies, there's one on YouTube that is about aliens who feed on our fear and negativity. No doubt, my man. Anything prison on earth, it's unbelievable. Yeah, man. Trust me, I'm into all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Both Sanders and Scott, our contracts are up after this year. Yep. I feel like Hunt has been on the trade convo just as much as Dillard. Yeah, man, they talk about him all the time. So that's what we're touching on. We're going to talk about the realistic, nature of all of these. So we'll see. Bears defense was so good in 2020, I think. Holy moly. They kept Trubisky. And yeah, man, no doubt. So the next guy I'm going to talk about is Daryl Patterson. This guy, look, I really like Daryl Patterson, but he's 31 years old, been playing in the league for 10 years. If you could try, he's got a few years left on his contract. If you could try to make a move for him, restructure, they've got, Tyler Algier there, got like Caleb Huntley, Avery Williams, something like that. So I think he is expendable, and there's something we could do with him. He doesn't have to be our lead running back or anything. You could use him in the run game, the passing game, but you could actually use him in the return game, which would be fantastic. So we're looking at his career stats here. This dude can do it all. Running, catching the ball. He started out, as a receiver. Then he got moved to a running back. This dude's just really a jack of all trades. He's a weapon. Get the ball into his hands. But one thing I wanted to do for him was add his return stats. He's only had 1 punt return in his career, which is crazy. But he is a freak of nature in the return game. 29.4 yard career average, 8 touchdowns. That's pretty effing good. The only person better, well, I know Devin Hester's better. Dante Hall is pretty effing awesome too. So he's probably 3rd in people I've seen, but he's awesome. Still got some left in the tank. He's on the IR right now, but if you were able to get off, you could get him for super cheap. I'm not against that either. We need a spark in that return game, and he could bring you something to the offense that, I'd be all for. You see, this year, before he got hurt, he was doing his thing, man. 5.9 yards per rush. And he wasn't catching the ball that much. He was pounding the rock, man. And he's got 3 rushing touchdowns already. This guy, he is really impressive to watch in his 10th year. But I think the big thing about him is he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear. He hasn't really been used. So that's a great thing. And that would be somebody, if you're looking at running back, you need to do something. That is where I would go. Now, up next, there are going to be running backs in here. And there are going to be wide receivers in here as well. But this is strictly for their return capability. This has nothing to do with them coming in and being an RB2. This would be them coming in being an RB3, 4, a wide receiver 4, 5, whatever, return man. But I want to show you a list of guys I went through and looked at every roster, every depth chart, and wanted to see guys that were expendable, guys that I thought the Eagles could make a move for in the return game. On the left side, you will see the wide receivers listed. And then on the right side, you will see the running backs listed here. So some of these guys, maybe the team isn't willing to let go, but for the most part, I went after guys that I thought, hey, there's a will, there's a way. And obviously you got Eli Moore pictured here, who wants out. But I'll be real with you. This guy wants more snaps. He wants more play. I don't think he's going to find that here. So do not think that that is going to be an option for the Eagles. But I do think there are some other players out there that we could be intrigued by. So let me check this comment real quick here, and then we'll get into these return specialists. Fantasy stud Patterson. Yeah, me too. I got him on my IR right now, along with John Connor. Why do I always call him John Connor? It is James Connor, damn it. But Connor's on there. I've got, dude, it's ridiculous. Shaquille Leonard hasn't played. He played one game. I played him. He had scored me 2 points. I was like, yeah, right, dude, because we play with defensive players and stuff. But it's been a great year so far with fantasy. But we'll keep this train moving. Return specialist time. Now, here's some guys the Eagles could be interested in. Marquez Callaway. Now, the Saints, we've all seen what's going on there. They've got a plethora of receivers, though. I think, they could always be in rebuild mode. And this is a guy, big body receiver, but he's got a lot of speed. He's really fun to watch in the open field. And he is somebody that you could use in the return game. Now, in New Orleans, hasn't had any kind of crazy stats here where it's like, oh, yeah, I definitely want him, man. I'm just saying, this is somebody you take a late flyer on, a pick swap, a late round, we trade our 7th for their 6th, whatever. You know what I mean? So I think, why not add somebody to the room? And, before I get too crazy in here, going into the guys, you see what he has done this year, 2 punt returns, and that is it. But not much in the return game for him, but he could find a place here in the return game. And my opinion on Britton Covey is I like him. He's got a high upside, and I think we got to give him some time here. But I like him as a punt returner, not so sure about him as a kick returner, but I'm also not sure about our blocking on kickoffs and punt returning. So it's hard for me to gauge if this guy, we got to go out and get somebody. So if they want to go out and get somebody for kick returning, I get it. But I'm still not saying, I'm not doing this and saying all these things because I'm saying I don't believe in Britton Covey. Just, I understand if you want to spark right now and you're not trying to wait. Now, another name on this board that I don't know if Green Bay would be willing to part with this young man. I don't know how that happened. But Amari Rodgers here, this kid, super talented, but they've got a lot of really young wide receivers. Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs there, Alan Lazard, Sammy Watkins is there. So Old Man River there to help him out. But this kid, only his 2nd year in the league, a 3rd round pick and last year. And I think it would be crazy for them to let him go. But hey, again, for the right price, you never know what a team could be willing to give up. And this would be a kid I think you could definitely throw back there in the return game. 20 yards per return doesn't look too great. 6.9 yards per return. Again, you can't just be stat watching here because these guys got the talent. Put in the right situation, maybe they could do something. But again, I don't know how well our blocking has been. Now this year, you see, again, not too great. But I think, this is a guy that he could help you in not only the return game, but he could help you as, 4th, 5th wide receiver. And you've already got Quez and Zach Pascal. I get that. But if a guy can bring something else, you haven't really seen Britton Covey out there on offense. So this is a guy just throwing you out some names here, ladies and gentlemen. And this isn't, I wouldn't necessarily go after that one. So I like that. But going up here next, you've got Ernest Johnson, not John Connor, but this kid. I think, we talk about Kareem Hunt all the time. People ask that question, but what about Ernest Johnson? He was a restricted free agent this year. They brought him back. Thought that was weird because they had drafted Jerome Ford, a crowded running back room to say the least. But this kid, 26 years old, and I really love this kid. I think, not only is he good in the return game, which we're going to talk about, but he could really help you as a 2nd, 3rd down back and really, or RB2, RB3, whatever. And I think that, having this return ability would be a no-brainer. Kenny Gainwell has it, but he just doesn't do much back there. So you put a guy back there that can actually do something, 24.8 yards per kick return, 4.4 in the punt. I think, obviously not jumping off the page here at you, but the kid's got talent. And with Jerome Ford, he will come back from injury here soon. We'll see. They've already got enough running backs, but I think this could be a kid I would be willing to make a late round pick swap for, add to this return game, get him as the kick returner. Yeah, Britton Covey as the punt returner. That makes me feel a lot more comfortable. Now, this next name, this is a guy. Oh, yeah. Why did these all get flipped around? I'm telling you, if you count all these graphics, there's a lot. So, you see Jamal Agnew. We faced him a couple weeks ago, and this dude, he is awesome. We talked about him before the game, the key matchups to watch. This dude is one of them. I really think that, you got to go after this dude and make sure whenever he's on the field, you stop him. And they had an injury to Zay Jones, so we had to deal with him. So he shows that he can help on offense. Actually started out as a defensive back, used to play with Slay in Detroit. This dude, really talented, though, with the ball in his hands. So he's got a huge cap hit. But again, when you trade for someone that money, it's not something you got to worry about. You could always restructure him. Howie will always find a way. But this dude has talent. And, in the return game, you're going to see here, he's got over 2,000 return yards, 25 yards per kick return, over 10 yards per punt return, almost 1,000 punt return yards. He's got 4 punt return touchdowns and 2 kick return touchdowns. This dude is the real deal. And if you can find a way to pry him from their hands. Now, they got rid of Laviska Shenault earlier this year, so he is their gadget player. Not so sure Dougie P wants to give him up to us, but I would love to have him. I'll be real with you. And if it's trade season, we're going to talk about trades. So you see this year, he's been able to do some nice things. No touchdowns yet, but I'm sure that will come. Now, up last, my 5th guy. Now, this is a guy that's not going to jump off the chart with stats here at you, but boy, is he talented. Last year, we talked about this kid out of Western Michigan, and my God, would I love to have him. This is a guy kind of like the Kenny Gainwell mold. He's, I think you could use as a back, a receiver in the return game, just move him all over the place, what you wanted Jalen Reagor to be. So I think that this kid, if you could find a way to convince them, the Seahawks obviously making fire sales at times, a lot of these teams, you want to look for teams that suck, So I think this dude, again, not, huge stats, and his career stats are the same as his stats from this year. So just using him as a returner, but I think he's got so much talent. You have to find a way to get the ball into his hands. And I would love to see that happening in an Eagles green uniform. If you want that return game to take it up a notch, maybe you don't want to go for a guy that, isn't, too familiar yet. So maybe you go the Ernest Johnson or the Jamal Agnew route. But a young, talented kid who could be a big part of the future in Duane Eskridge there. So a lot of talented guys, a lot of crappy teams trying to, look to the future, fire sale for a lot of these teams. So a lot of stuff going on here. But I thought that those were the candidates you saw. There was like 24 guys that just had there, and I created 5 of the graphics there for you. I'm telling you, I've never made as many graphics. I was my whole day, and my girlfriend's got this awesome thing coming up tomorrow, but literally 70 some graphics for this show. Oh my God. My God. Also, don't think by getting a better returner is going to make the difference, but how do you make better blocks? Yeah, that's what I was just saying, my man. Anywhere outside the turners where you'd like to start. Yeah. So that's what I was just saying, Tim. So yes, I agree 100%. You got to block if you want someone to return, but I'd understand if you want a kick returner in Ernest Johnson, because Britton Covey, not necessarily a kick returner. My man Dante in the building. What is going on, dude? East Coast Gridiron. Hope you guys are checking that out. All the college NFL stuff you need, you will find it there. Obviously, I'm your man for the Eagles, but Dante, it was such a pleasure getting to meet you and then having you on the show this year, talking about the Jaguars-Eagles matchup before it happened. Man, a great dude, always very helpful. So go check his stuff out. But hope you're having a great weekend, my man. I'm really glad you're tuning in because, I've got a lot of graphics here, and I can definitely get your true thoughts on these. So appreciate you, my man. Hope you're doing well. Hope your weekend is off to a great start. My man Tyree in the building. Raining on him, baby. Let's go. Appreciate you tuning in, my dude. Hope your weekend's going well. You know that grind. That's why I'm glad you're tuning in, because you know all about it. The sleepless nights. Oh my God. There was a Halloween parade last night, and I started making these graphics. I'm like, I'm sorry, honey. I have to start this because I know it's going to be hell. And it's been. We went through half of these guys so far, and you guys have seen how many graphics there already were, but now we've got some more. So on to the safety position. Now, this is one, as I said, as we get up the ladder, maybe I understand a little bit more. So C.J. Gardner-Johnson goes out for a couple snaps, and we saw Kayvon Wallace still struggling mightily. God help us all. So maybe some safety depth. Maybe I'm not against that. So you see a list of guys I put together. Justin Burris there for Carolina. I know Chuck Clark mentioned a lot here. Obviously they have a lot of safeties, but they just had themselves a major injury to Marcus Williams. He will be out for the season, so not so sure how much they want to get rid of Chuck Clark. So let's talk about some of these other guys. So Justin Burris, I know, why would you want to do that? I thought you were going to say Jeremy Chen. No, same color scheme, same team. Unfortunately, Jeremy Chen, he's injured right now, and I know that they want to get rid of guys, but I'm not so sure that's one of those guys. I know Christian McCaffrey, it seems like, oh, what the hell? But Chen, I think, is part of their future. Look, I'd love to have me some Jeremy Chen. I was pissed when we didn't get him in the draft, but it's all good now. I just think that, Justin Burris, a guy, versatile safety, can help you out a little nickel corner. This dude, 7 years in the league, a veteran. I'd feel a little bit more comfortable, I think, having him back there than Kayvon Wallace. I think he could fit this defense. And again, with these stats, you're not going to be like, oh my God, but he has started 33 games. He's got himself 6 interceptions, a sack, tackle for he can do it all. So I like the kid. And if you're, again, this is one of those late pick swap kind of things. I'm not going out on a limb to trade anything major for these guys, just talking about shoring up the depth. And it's not always going to be some guy you've heard of or some superstar, because that's just not how things work. So I tried to go through, I looked at every single depth chart, roster, their injuries, the free agents coming up, all of that to try to gauge, who the Eagles could be interested in. So maybe this is one of those guys, obviously not playing much for the Panthers this year, so expendable, and I would be okay with taking a shot. Now, another name, DeAndre Carson, 29 years old, another veteran guy, and I know you guys are thinking, why are we trading for these guys? But my point is, you swap a 7th-round pick with one of these teams, you get a player, hey, cool, very small cap hit, not affecting you much, again, with the prorated money, all that stuff, you don't got to worry about it. So I think this is a kid that the versatility, it's always something we talk about. He can play nickel. He's got that versatility that you need to play in this multiple scheme defense for the Eagles. So he's had 6 starts in his career. So obviously he is a depth piece, a special teamer, but this is a guy I think I would feel more comfortable with as depth there, because beyond Gardner Johnson and Epps, you don't have much back there. You see, I don't know what happened there to this. What the shit? Something's freaking out. I'm just going to hold on for a second while it stops. So, all right, here we go. So the next guy on the board, I have no idea what just happened there. Okay. So it had the original graphic. My bad. So you see here up next is Jabrill Peppers. Sorry, we just entered the matrix there. Hope everyone's all right. But 6 years in the league, 27 years old, out of Michigan. We remember him on the Giants, started with the Browns as a 1st-round pick back in 2017. But this dude, I really love what he brings to the table, and he can also help you as a return man. So I wouldn't be against adding Jabrill Peppers. And honestly, it doesn't look like the New England Patriots want to use him. So no doubt, you see in his career, he has started 60 out of 67 games. You'll see this year why that is tainted there. But, 4.5 sacks, 4 interceptions, but he can really help you in the return game too. So that would be an awesome safety 3 for me. I think that's a no-brainer, but not so sure. I think with giving him, the returner ability, I think that would make him feel a little bit more comfortable here, get more playing time. And you see this year, he started 1 game. So they're definitely pushing him out. I think this would be a guy, if you're going for a safety, it's Jabrill Peppers for me. And I would love to see him in midnight green. No about you, but I like a lot of these names, but it's not something I feel like the Eagles have to do. So I talked about it. We're going up the list here. Running back, I'd be fine if we don't add. Return specialist, I'd be cool if we started blocking more than I would be adding someone. But I'd be cool with Ernest Johnson, Duane Eskridge, Jamal Agnew. I'd be perfectly fine with those things. So if they want to get better somewhere, they got a great deal, go ahead and do that. You got a safety like Jabrill Peppers available? Yeah, I'd be okay if it's the right price. Go ahead and do that. If this team wants to compete for a Super Bowl, not only do you want depth, these guys got to have some starting capability because we have injuries. It is the NFL. So we'll see what the Eagles plan on doing, but let me hear your thoughts. Who do you like from those guys? Because we're about to get into the good one. This is the one where I feel the Eagles have to go after. So I'm all about it right now. I'm going to be real with you. So let me hear your thoughts on the prior, but I'd love to hear your thoughts as we go through this. Now, you're going to see a list, but I'm going to go through 5 of these guys because this is one that I really, really feel the Eagles have to get to, for the love of God. Yo, I appreciate that, my man. And this is going to be the final ones. I do love messing around with all the colors and doing all that stuff, but you know how it is, man. It's like, Jesus. Like, first off, starting from scratch with this, I was like, okay, like, how do I want this to look? And I changed out like 36 times. And then I finally got one down. I'm like, oh, now you can start making. So you got to realize, there's 16 guys I broke down in detail, and there's 3 pictures a piece. Well, 4 for one. So that's 49 graphics right there. So, and that's not to include the sidebar stuff I've got to do, the intro, the other things we started with, the 3 Eagles players, the cap, all that great stuff. You know the grind. You know it. Rodney Harrison, how I miss him on the Jags. Yeah, I like that dude too. For me, the only reason I didn't go into detail about him, more of a strong safety in this defense that I don't think we need right now. I think, kind of Kayvon Wallace-esque what we already have. So that's why I kind of went toward those free safety nickel back kind of guys. So, but yeah, I like Rodney Harrison, man. So that was one of the names I wanted to throw up there. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jeremy Chen. Had to let him go. I literally have Minkah Fitzpatrick, Shaq Leonard, and Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald has a bye week this week, so I'm like, I can't. But all my players are getting hurt, so I just had to start dropping people. But that dude is awesome. I'd love to have him. Big fan of Peppers. Big fan. It's one of those guys. Yeah, man. So, hey, go ahead, Eagles. Go ahead and get him. I'd be really happy with that move. That would be something. I was excited making it, so I'm glad you're with me on that one. Mid to late, you could do a 6th, 7th rounder for him. They aren't even using them. I think no brainer. Go get him. Let him help in the kick return game, punt return, wherever you want to use him. Let's go, dude. All about it. I'll take him over right. Yo, dude, if that's not life, holy shit. And I always have to, like, I'm the worst. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go in and like delete all this stuff because I'm just gonna blow up my computer and everything else. But you know it, dude. You know how, and you're a professional though. Like, you actually, like, you do way more with this stuff than I do, and I drive myself insane with this. So more power to you, my brother. I'm glad I met you because you keep me going. So let's get into these edge rushers before you guys all fall asleep on me here. But a nice list. And yes, as mentioned earlier, Brian Burns. Oh, that's right. Do we want to bring in another Florida State edge rusher? Yes, we do. You will see a couple Sam linebackers up there, and Cam Brown not finding his way in New York. You got Mac Wilson there in New England, but some old heads maybe not getting the snaps they want. Malik Reed, someone had mentioned TJ Watt being out, but he will be back in the next couple weeks, so maybe that makes him a little bit expendable. Terrell Basham coming back from injury there with Dallas. Clellan Ferrell wants to be out from Las Vegas, but So I threw together some names that could definitely be on the list, but let's talk about the ones that I would be perfectly fine with the Eagles adding, or there's kind of one that it's like, let's talk about it. So before we do that, I got a couple. This computer is acting like a straight saddlebag.com right now. I'll be real with you. See my desk. Oh, I can only imagine, dude. It's my phone and desk. It's all like just, it's insane. But you know. What is going on? Bad Babylon in the building. Let's go. You just missed out on about 60 some graphics, but I appreciate it. I put so much time into this show. I don't think I've ever put so much time into one show. So I hope you appreciate it. And if you've got the time to go check it out by rewinding, even if you fast forward through it, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Some of the guys that really got me excited, some of the thoughts I had on them, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But this is the position at the top of the rung here. This is one where, look, the Eagles, I know we're like somewhere top 10-ish, middle of the pack with sacks, but that one game we had like 9 sacks on Carson Wentz. So let's not get things twisted. We are struggling. Now, it's weird because you're getting pressure. It's just you're not really getting sacks. And look, it's great. You want to get pressure, but you also want to get sacks. You want to create more pressure. And we talked about, Derek Barnett being out. That was great to have Derek Barnett as your defensive end 3. Now, you've got Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat. Love that rotation. So this isn't like, oh, these guys suck. Like, oh, we got to get somebody better. I just think having a great rotation is how you win a Super Bowl. And how we won the Super Bowl. Oh, that's right. It is. So on the other side, you've got Hassan Reddick, both the Johnson guys, Patrick and Kyron over there as backup. So I think you're okay there. I don't think you need to add any of those Sam linebackers, but I would totally be okay with adding another edge rusher, get things going here. And, this is a versatile defense, multiple schemes. So a lot of these guys can line up at different places that we already have. So maybe you bring somebody in that can play a certain position and allow someone else to not be used out of position. So one of the guys I've heard about, Old Man River here. We've got Robert Quinn, 32 years old, his 12th year in the league. And that cap hit is holy shenanigans. You see there, you'd want to probably restructure that. So the Eagles are going to go ahead and hope to do that if they were to trade for him, because I keep seeing people talk about it because he wants to be gone. That's great. I think I'm all right there. I'll be real with you. I like Robert Quinn 5 years ago, and he's still got some left in the tank, let's be real, but I don't know if I want to play that game, the restructure and dancing with all that crap. I'm good on that. But you see here, man, he's got over 100 sacks in his career, 32 forced fumbles. I mean, the dude definitely gets to the quarterback. So this is one of those veteran pieces where if you could restructure him the right way, save the right amount of money, man, I'm not against it. I just don't know if this is my favorite one. And, the guy's, again, still got talent here. Now, this year, he only has 1 sack so far, 2 quarterback hits, 1 tackle for a loss. So not doing too much. So looking to get up there in age. But again, this is for a rotation piece. This isn't we're going out to add, a superstar. Not in my opinion, unless just wait till the end. So up next, now here's a guy you're like, what the Ben Banagu. Look, he's played for 4 years now and really hasn't panned out as a second-round pick for Indianapolis. TCU alum. But still very young at 26, So I think in the right situation, you never know what someone could be able to do. So when you're looking at these stats, you're going to be like, yes, dude, you picked a good one here, didn't you? But no, he's played in 40 games, hasn't started any. So you see here, he's, again, a rotational piece. We brought in Janarius Robinson earlier this year off the practice squad. So, I mean, that's what you're looking at. He's on IR now. So Teron Jackson, I like the dude. I do. But I'm not against adding to this room. And maybe this is a guy they think, hey, second-round talent. Maybe we could go out, do some things, but hasn't been seeing playing time this year. So maybe you go for someone like that. Very talented, just hasn't found his way. Now, here's an Old Man River. I love this dude. I always have. I've been playing with defensive players in fantasy for as long as I can remember. So I remember back in the day, this dude just terrorizing souls, the Bills. And I think that, he still definitely has some left in the tank. This is his 13th year, 34 years old, another TCU alum, old first-round pick back in 2010. Holy hell, dude. But 6'2", 254, I'm all about adding a rotational piece. And I think Jerry Hughes, man, he would be that dude. Because I don't think it would cost you that much. And I would be perfectly fine with restructuring him, do what you got to do, pay off the rest of his contract for this year, go get some. But you see in his career, 62 sacks, 85 tackles for a loss, 133 quarterback hits. This dude, he's even got a couple picks and a couple touchdowns. So that just goes to show you this dude, I think he is perfect for this defense. You can move him around. You could have him playing Sam linebacker a little bit, defensive end. Oh, man, I really like Jerry Hughes, and I know he's 34 years old, but hey, you're looking for a rotational piece here. We're not looking for somebody to take Josh Sweat's job unless you're waiting until the end here. So you see this year, he's had 5 starts. He's already got 4 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, and 4 quarterback hits, an interception, and pass deflection. Go ahead, 34-year-old Jerry Hughes. You love to see it, man. And again, the Texans, I know they're rebuilding right now, but if they were willing to get rid of someone like a Jerry Hughes, you give him a 6th, a 7th round pick, you swap something in the late rounds, I would be all for it, man. A rotational piece. He's getting in on the rotation. So my man, Bad Babylon, I appreciate you, dude. And I look forward to talking to you right now, but I'll definitely look forward to hearing your thoughts on the rest of it. Oh, we've got a little Tinder hot mess of dope. Squirt, squirt, beep, beep. All right, dude. Appreciate you tuning in. You have yourself a great night. Don't worry. The Eagles get me feeling that way too. Now let's get into the next edge rusher on the board here. Marcus Davenport. The Saints suck. Let's be real. And we're going to thankfully have their top 5 pick, maybe top 3 pick next year. Thank you, Howie Roseman. So maybe they want to start building toward the future. Maybe they want to get some of those picks back. So maybe, this guy kind of falling off this year, I feel, but that team just sucks. Their defense isn't what it was, and they're just struggling. So maybe we can go ahead and add someone, a former first-round pick, still 26 years old, and in the right situation, this dude, and you could line him, oh, man, he's the opposite of the guys we were talking about. This is a guy I think you could really teach to run some 3, 4, 5 technique. A lot of these multiple schemes the Eagles have, I really like Marcus Davenport. And if you could find a way, it's not too crazy of a cap hit. Again, that's not what the Eagles would be taking on. But, I think it's definitely possible. We could see if the Saints would be willing to do that. But in his career, he's got 21 and a half sacks, 4 passes deflected. He's get those hands up. I really like Marcus Davenport, and I think I would be willing to take a chance. You see, I mentioned, this year, not really jumping off the page at you, half of a sack, 5 quarterback hits, but he is definitely somebody that he's got the talent. So if the Eagles want to, take a shot at him, that's something I'd be more than willing to do. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got one more person on the board to talk about. And yeah, you've been waiting. And yeah, it's the guy we've all been waiting to talk about because, well, I'd love to have him. So we got Hassan Reddick from Carolina last year. Why don't we go ahead and add his running mate, Brian Burns, out of Florida State, 24 years old, 6'5", 250 pounds, first-round pick back in 2019. We talked about the Panthers, obviously getting rid of Christian McCaffrey, so they could definitely be looking to unload some of these players. Now, he's still only 24 years old, so we talked about Jeremy Chen being part of the future. Not so sure you want to get rid of someone like a Brian Burns. So I don't know, man. Would I love to have him? Yeah, of course, man. I would jump through a wall because Brian Burns is very effing talented. So count me in. I just really hope, hey, maybe Howie gives him an offer they can't refuse. Maybe you package in Jeremy Chin and I jumped through 5 walls. So you see here in his career, started 41 games. He's got 29 and a half sacks, 32 tackles for a loss, 61 quarterback hits, 9 passes deflected. He's even got himself fumble recovery for a touchdown. This dude, super talented. I can't stress it enough. I would love for the Eagles to go after a guy like Brian Burns. Then you see in this year, he's already got 4 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss, 6 quarterback hits, 1 pass deflected. This dude, he's the real deal. I really think, sorry if you're wondering, I'm not, never mind. I was punching my head, but I really think that this dude gets me excited to know the porn sites flipping out here in the comments that, look, it's all getting rowdy here. I don't know. It's a Friday night. We're ready to dance. It's a bye week. Who knows what we're getting into here? But look, I hope you all appreciated all of those millions of graphics I put together tonight. Hopefully you got something from it, but I would love to hear your thoughts. How did you feel about not only, these shows, but are there players on the Eagles you feel are expendable that I didn't mention? Whatever's on your mind. Maybe you missed the beginning. I can show you the details we had at the beginning. November 1st, 4 p.m. is the trade deadline detail, but the Eagles are working with over $9.5 million in salary cap space, and you see the future draft picks. Holy hell. So we are loaded, ready to rock and roll. And I think this team, people really messed up sleeping on them. And I think we could be buyers, man. I'm not going to lie to you. So those people I mentioned, I think those are all pretty reasonable. And obviously the ones I mentioned that wouldn't be. So you get the drift. But I'd love to hear, which of those guys did you like the most? Who did you like out of edge rushers? Who did you like out of the safeties, the return specialists, the running backs? Was there a position I didn't mention? Do you want an offensive lineman? Do you think, we need to add a tight end? Do you like another linebacker? Whatever it is on your mind, I'd love to hear it. But I'm going to get rolling out here soon, so you better let me hear it quick. But if you're watching this later or you want to leave a comment later, whatever it is, man, you want to break things down, pause stuff and look at the stats. There's a lot of information there. Trust me, I know how to type all those in and do all the research. But man, it was nuts. It really was. But I hope you guys got something out of it. I was a little crushed. My man Drew didn't show up tonight. A little heartbroken here, but I did get my man Dante in here and the rest of you guys. We got Tyree. We got O'Dizzle Drizzle, all of you. The rest of you, I didn't forget you. I just can't even remember my name half the time. So I'm impressed I remember 3 of you. So I hope you guys got something out of that, man, because it took my soul. I'll be real with you. Why would they get rid of young base like Burns? Yeah. Christian McCaffrey was just let go. So I kind of think you see they're willing to get rid of some things. So, Ted, I don't know if you didn't hear what I just said, but yeah. So what is going on in the chat? BMO's here. He's ready to rock and roll. Love to see it. Unfortunately, this is the end of the show. Just went through all 60 of those graphics, 70, whatever the hell it was. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you guys got something from it. I'd love to hear what is on your mind, though. Where do you think the Eagles need to go after? Most importantly, what do you think they're going to be willing to give up? What are you willing to give up? A lot of excitement here for the Eagles. Obviously, this team just keeps gelling and getting better. So if you do add a new piece, they've got to be worked in too. So again, I don't think any of these kind of starters are going to be the guys you are going to get. Would I love to have Brian Burns? Yeah. Would I love to have a Kareem Hunt? Sure. But let's get real here. I don't think this team needs to add anything like that, so maybe we go after a Jabrill Peppers. He helps you at safety, brings something to the return game. Maybe you get a Ernest Johnson, helps you as a backup running back and in the return game. So don't expect, when I say we could be buyers that, oh my God, we're trading Al's here. But again, like I said 2 minutes ago, would I love that Brian Burns? You're damn right I would. I don't think that you need to upgrade over Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett. Or I'm sorry, Brandon Graham. You got Barnett injured. You've got Janarius Robinson injured now. So Teron Jackson is your third. So if you want to add a Jerry Hughes, I think you guys all know how excited I got talking about him. Somebody that I think, even a Marcus Davenport would fit in there. So a lot of options here, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I gave you so many so that people couldn't try to complain about one. So great breakdown. I appreciate that, my man. And yes, we are definitely... I've been having a great bye week, my man. Took those few days off, and I've really just been, doing a lot of crap. And I'll be real with you. Tomorrow's going to be insane, too. I wanted to do a show. I'm going to try, but I'm not going to promise you anything. But tomorrow's going to be crazy. My girlfriend's got this awesome event, so I'm going to be there grilling and cooking up. Maybe I'll go live from there. We'll just talk some birds while I'm grilling up for all these ladies she's got coming for her esthetician stuff. So excited about that. Proud of her. She is truly awesome. So if you live in the area, stop on down. Rituals Beauty Bar. Bring your woman and get some cool stuff for her. But I appreciate you, Tim. I hope you're having yourself a great bye week. I couldn't leave you guys alone there. I told you I'd be back this weekend, but I was taking the week off. So we're here. We're talking birds now. We'll be back maybe tomorrow. Not Sunday, but then Tuesday, definite. We're behind enemy lines, talking about the Steelers, everything. Wednesday's the initial injury report for the week. And then, of course, Thursday's the top 10 matchups, all that stuff. So we'll get right back on schedule as soon as it gets back. But I'm going to try for tomorrow. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. You can rewatch it a bunch of times and get something from it. I don't know. But there's plenty of videos out there on the channel for you to check out. But if you have any questions, any comments, you just want to talk some birds, you want to talk about life, whatever it may be, please feel free, reach out. I truly do appreciate you guys, man. I don't think you understand that. And when you guys do reach out to things, maybe you need help, or maybe you need a friend, or maybe you're just trying to be a friend to me because I need a friend. I tell you guys, I go through stuff. That's the only reason I say these things. I'm not trying to preach to people. I go through it too. So we got to take these things serious. Mental health matters, man, not just on the weeks and the months that they tell you to. That's why I say it every day, man, because it really does matter. And look what I almost died, man. So I just I don't want to see other people get to that situation before they start taking life seriously. So I just want you guys to know I love you. I'm always here for you. And I can't thank you enough for you guys tuning in. You made this show really fun. I thought, man, there's a lot of content. I highly doubt I'll be able to get it. So I was going to shoot for like 45 minutes to be done. But you guys are awesome. You helped me take this to the top here. But please let me hear your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit that like button. You can always subscribe to the channel. Every single one of those helps me, keeps building this channel, shows more people. I get part of the algorithm, start making more money. So we're just trying to keep building here. And I can't thank you enough for being a part of it. So I hope you got as much as you possibly could from that. That was insane. It took my soul last couple of days. So please let me hear your thoughts in the comments below, and let's talk some birds, baby. But until next time, I am Jimmy Smith. And this is on the road to victory. You guys all stay safe out there. And as always, go birds!